All right. Um, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Yuri, and I'm from the Netherlands. So it's pretty late over here already. And yeah, I study game development in Amsterdam at the moment, and it's basically IT combined with like game design, game development, and all those kinds of theoretical parts, and also the programming parts. So yeah, I had some game development experience before I did this. What's it called? The study. So that was nice. This is just basically an extension, and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool so far. I like it.
That's awesome. So is that what got you into game development? Was being part of that study, or what led you down that path?
No, actually not. I started gaming. I like gaming is a big word, but I played Mario when I was like 3 years old on a SNES, and actually my dad got me into gaming actually because he bought the SNES, and we played Super Mario World, and yeah, that's basically how I got into gaming. And after that, I actually a couple of years later, I started playing on the Nintendo 64, and we had Mario Kart. And I started wondering how people made this, and I was like 8 at the time, I think, or yeah, something like that. And I started wondering, like, how do they do this? Where do all the images come from? How do they process this and stuff? So yeah, I got interested in that, and when we had to choose our follow-up study from like the grade school, I think, grad school, I don't know. Uh, I saw an advertisement for a game development college school, which got you into programming and got you into contact with AAA game development, basically. So I went and tried to do that, and that failed horribly.
So you
Yeah.
you ended up not going down the AAA path then?
Now I did follow the study for a year, but it was way too difficult. I had no programming experience, well, except for Game Maker Studio at the time, and what's it called? Game Maker Studio, and that's it. And I had to do C++ there, and I had no programming experience whatsoever, so that was really difficult.
Oh yeah, that would be a struggle. Um,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
mentioned
So
Super Mario World and Mario Kart 64. Is there anything else that you would say was one of your favorite games?
yes. Well, I've played World of Warcraft for like 11 of 12 years, I think. So that's quite some time. But I wouldn't say that's one of my favorites, to be honest. I think the Dark Souls series are my favorite type of games, to be honest. Yeah.
Do you think that's influenced your design and your goals as a game developer at all?
Partly because, as in your recent stream, when you played my game for the platform jam, um, the difficulty is not something I actually took from Dark Souls, but that's just bad design because of the time constraints. But in general, I love to build games with a dark vibe, or at least some kind of a story to it, even if the story is not fully fleshed out. Yeah.
That's cool. Cool stuff. Um, what would you say is your greatest achievement that you've achieved? That I
Yeah.
words.
Well, I think I got two within game development then, and one would be getting the first place of someone's asking to turn the volume up of mine. Anyway, I'll just keep talking.
I got it.
We with my team we reached the first place in like a school competition. We had to make a project, a game, and you were completely free what to do. And it was in the first year of my current study. And yeah, you just you're probably gonna play one of those today then. But let's see, it's like a space shooter, top-down shooter, and it's endless and has boss battles and it was dynamic. Boss battles got more difficult as the game progressed. And we got first place for that, and we had to present it for like 700 people in like a huge theater type of room thingy. And that was horrible because we didn't expect it. So yeah, and us being game developers in the first year, it was kind of, I don't know, socially awkward.
Surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. We placed first, and the user and all of the people in the what's it called room voted for our game as well. So that was really cool. I think we had like even more than half of the vote, so we were really proud of the project.
That's awesome.
And then the second one was reaching 37th overall in London, I think. Yeah. So
that's
I was
quite
surprised.
high.
Yeah, I was surprised that I got that far. And it wasn't the compo as well, the competitive one. So I think that's one of my bigger achievements right now for the game jam, for sure.
2 digits. That's quite an achievement with those hundreds and hundreds of games. So
yeah, and you played that game, so that's pretty cool as well.
I play a lot of games.
And the first thing you said was that I had a lot of grammar mistakes, and I saw that immediately, and I was like, no, that's so bad.
This is kind of what I do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, are you working on anything major at the moment?
Nothing too big at the moment, but I've got multiple, I think 3 projects besides school and game jams and stuff. I got like 3 projects for mobile, what's it called, like for the Google Play Store. Just getting to know that and how that works, and just seeing how mobile application development works, because it's fun, but it's completely different than just creating a game for PC, for example. So I like the change of pace for a moment.
Well, it's good to expand your toolkit there. So
yeah.
I guess you have some experience on the PC side and also the mobile side. So is there anything you could say about the differences in the toolkits and the workflow for that?
Yeah, sure. Well, for PC games and WebGL and mobile, I actually use Unity most of all, and then just C# and that's it. And for mobile application development, for like the software engineering part, I use Android Studio and then Java. It's kind of a puzzle because you have to update 24/7, and that's horrible, dependencies and stuff. Oh god. But it does its job really well. It's easy, it's quick. Just the design part is difficult because I'm not used to that. It's like I read somewhere that the size of a button has to be twice or 1.5 times your thumb size or something like that. Another strange rule, so that's
a hard one.
Times.
People have different sized thumbs and different sized phones.
Yeah, exactly. It's really vague. So that's fun. But yeah, when I work with Unity, for example, I also usually edit the editor files, so to get a more streamlined workflow. Because you can change how Unity starts up the project and how it starts up your scripts as well. Because, for example, you start with start and a update function, but I always remove those manually, so you can change that within the editor itself, so to not make it do that anymore and stuff. All those small little things make life so much easier. I don't know, something like that.
Sounds cool. So are there any general tips you'd like to give to people who want to get into game development?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first of all, game jams. I mean, those are awesome. You learn so much from just creating something. I mean, that's the way I learned everything I do. Don't be afraid to watch tutorials. Don't be afraid to use those in your game. Do credit people though. That's important.
Absolutely.
But I think don't be afraid to create something that looks difficult. For example, when I started developing, I was afraid of vector math, for example, or angular velocity, and those kind of things. I still am, by the way. Whatever. Don't be afraid of those. Just you can't be prepared for everything. You just have to. It's like a procedural thing, a dynamic thing. I don't know, something like that. But you search for things when you need them. You can't know everything beforehand, and your use case actually defines what you need. So just try to define that as clear as possible. So write a document everything you want to have in there, your main mechanics, secondary mechanics, and all that kind of stuff, and then go from there. Yeah, I think that's the biggest tip I can think of.
Cool. So game jams are good, tutorials are good, and knowing what you want to do.
Yeah, and writing it down for sure.
Yeah. keeping track of what you actually want to do. That's
Yeah.
a good tip. Is there anything specific you could suggest about using the tools that you use? I know you mentioned Unity, but are there any other tools that you use in your workflow that you could talk about?
Yes. Well, first of all, planning wise, I use what's it called, Hack and Plan or Trello, one of those two boards. You can create tasks for yourself and time limits, and I won't go too much in detail because I can talk about that for like days on end. But you can basically structureize your whole workflow in there and plan ahead. That's good. And yeah, I also do a lot of art in my spare time, and also for the games I make. And I usually use Sprite for that, or Pixel, or Photoshop. I mean, just those. I don't think I can say too much about those. It's basically basic pixel art and basic digital drawing stuff.
Are there any like tutorials that you used for those that you could shout out?
No, actually, I don't. I don't use tutorials for art stuff. I just draw. That's
You
strange,
just
I think.
do it.
But yeah, I just do it. And I take pictures. I look at real life stuff, and then I try to draw that stuff.
Cool.
So that's kind of a strange workflow, I think. But it's probably because it's not my main focus, my main thing I do. So yeah. I would really advise to watch tutorials though, but I just don't feel like I want to do that anymore. I've reached the point where I'm like, I can my skills are sufficiently, how do you call that, are sufficient enough to just draw stuff, even if it's not perfect and stuff. I can see, oh, this has to be better or that. I think that's what tutorials really help you to develop, instead of like, oh, I need to draw a guitar exactly the way they show me. Just need to learn how to improvise stuff and make it more personal or more customized.
So you'd say that doing it and then failing and then fixing it, kind of.
Yes,
thing.
failing is is good to learn from. It's the best thing you can do. Failing.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. No, I think everyone, especially in game development, has to get used to failing a couple of times, especially during jams or during real projects that you want to deliver. It won't go as you have planned, like 90% of the times, I think. So, especially when you work in groups or teams, and especially if those teams are not made out of people you know, or especially if they're made out of people you know, because it will put your friendship to the test. Because you're going to learn a lot about people when you are developing with them in a team. For sure.
Things you might not want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I interrupted you on the tools and the workflow. Were there any other tools you wanted to bring up?
Yeah. For music, I actually am a guitar teacher. Music teacher. I teach guitar, violin, and bass guitar, and I use those music instruments to create my music as well. But first of all, when I first started out with creating music, I just plugged in my instruments into my computer and had horrible noise and stuff. So I learned to use a tabbing software, which is called Guitar Pro 7, I think is right now. And I made my music into that by just tabbing my music by writing it out in a sort of MIDI program, which could convert it to WAV files. And yeah, it still works pretty well, and the sound is not too bad, but you have no control over it whatsoever. So that's a downside. But for
Whatever
like,
works.
yeah, exactly. But for like, I think if I do it now, I probably use Fruity Loops, Ableton, or what's it? I forgot what it's called. It's like for chiptune. You might know it.
I know a few
It's like-
chiptune things. Is it
Yeah, I
Bosco?
forgot what it's called. No, it's not Bosca. It's another one. Oh well, no matter.
Some chiptune thing.
Yeah, some
Cool.
chiptune thing. Yeah, I think that's about it. Well, maybe. Let's see. I think for game developers, social media is also a big thing. You need to get into that.
Oh yes.
To work. But yeah, I think I just learned to use Twitter for like, I think it's like 2 or 3 months. I've made an account finally, and it's really useful. But I just can't get into the rhythm of posting regularly. It's really, but it's so nice though. You can get into contact with so many people and show your work to a lot of people as well, easily.
Yeah, Twitter is absolutely a great tool, although it has to be used correctly, which is a difficult thing, because you can really get yourself drained into spending a lot of time on wasting time, and
yeah,
you don't really know sometimes whether you're wasting time or spending time wisely.
It usually feels like wasting time.
Yeah,
so, most of the time.
I mean, most marketing stuff, it always feels like wasting time, but then, you know, once you've done a lot of it and then you see some results, you realize maybe it wasn't so much wasting time.
Yeah, that's a good point. You just have to keep at it and hope you're passionate and motivated enough to actually bring that over to the people you want to reach, I think.
So, your main thing was Unity. What is it that that brought you into Unity and had you using that?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, my school was my current study told me to use it in the near future. So I was like, why not try something with it? And then I found out that there were game jams. Well, my whole life turned upside down, and and I started with that 3 years ago, I think. And then I participated in Ludum Dare, and I had barely any experience in Unity, actually nothing. And then I made a game for Ludum Dare on my own with music, art, and programming, which was a hell. I didn't sleep at all. So, but I got a game out, and that's when I was like, yeah, Unity's pretty cool actually. You can do lots of cool stuff with it, and that's probably why I'm sticking with Unity now. Although I'm also using Unreal as of late. Like 3 weeks ago, I started with Unreal. Also cool, but oh my god, it's complicated at the start.
Yeah, it takes a lot to change, so it definitely makes sense to stick to the one thing. But it doesn't hurt to spread your wings, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Lilu said it might be Beatbox that you were talking about for chiptunes?
No, it's not Beatbox.
Is it like an actual tracker, like Fama Tracker or something?
No, it's just a I don't know.
Something. I'm sure you'll think of it as soon as the interview's over.
Yeah, I'll probably post it in Twitch or Discord when I find out.
Yeah, we're gonna shift gears here and check out some of your games. We have a few to go through here: the Finite Universe, Trial of Ascension, and Intergalactic Misfortune. I think the best thing is to do these in chronological order. So which of those was the first one that you developed?
Let's see. The first one was the Finite Universe. That was the game I and my team worked on during the first year of school, and we won the thingy with.
Let's check it out.
It was made in Java with processing. So
processing. Nice.
Yeah, don't use it for games.
That's yeah. No real engine to speak of there.
No, it's just a graphics library basically.
Yeah. So the Finite Universe, shoot, dodge, and destroy in a finite universe where the boundaries change every so often. I probably shouldn't have killed the music. Fine. You've got a mistake here.
Oh no, there we go.
Already starting. Fight against a lot of different enemy types like healers, slowers, splinters, melee, and more. Don't forget large bosses, which become more difficult the further in the game you are. Survive the endless wave of enemies in the finite universe. Not infinite. It's the opposite of infinite.
Yeah, so if you can... one of the things that we had to do was like make up a story, and the story didn't get pulled through into the game at all, but that's why we settled with the finite universe, because the bounds of the level changed. So, yeah.
Was the YouTube video a requirement too?
No, just one of our classmates made it for fun, because we had to present it, and we thought, video would be nice.
Yeah.
And he was into editing.
Oh, my music's still going.
We actually ended up making this together, 2 people instead of 6, because our group size was 6, but the other people didn't really contribute anything to it. So
yeah, I've been in school projects like that.
it always ends up like that. And yeah, my buddy, also a teammate, made the graphics, and I did all the programming and made the music. I think he made the graphics in Adobe After Effects.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
I mean, I've never used any of the Adobe products, so I don't really know what the differences are there.
Yeah, it just
But
feels weird to use.
I don't really hear about that being used much.
No, me neither. So yeah, it's a frantic shooter.
It's a very nice trailer. I mean, like covers
Yeah.
all of the stuff. It's got little transition things.
Yeah, my classmate really liked his videos. So he his video editing stuff. So he was like, "Oh, I'll make a video, sure." So yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. Let's try the game. I like the starfield here. How did you do that?
Actually, it was a tutorial which we which we just implemented, but it uses a mapping function for matrices, and yeah, you just translate those and then you reset the stars again and then do it again.
It looks a lot like the Windows screensaver. Showing my age mentioning that, but you know. What's a screensaver?
I can't remember that.
I don't remember what a screensaver is. I never heard of that.
No, I was part of that generation still.
Alright, so I don't know if how the volume is. I don't have an easy way to adjust it relative to you. Maybe I can turn it down a bit here. Where is it?
I don't have the stream sound turned on because I don't want to hear myself talk. It's gonna confuse me.
Good thinking. I can't. It's not listed in the. Oh, there it is. I'll turn this down a little bit. Or maybe a lot of bit. Okay. We should be good now.
Well, the game's actually sort of bugged at the moment because the enemy can't hit you.
It froze.
Oh, it did?
It froze completely. It's fine. We'll try again.
School projects, beautiful. This was made 3.5 years. Oh no, 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, that's quite
I
some
like
time
the survive. I think that's a really good thing. Is like narrowing down your game instructions to one word. You know, like a WarioWare kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know how we got to that. It just we were like, oh, let's just add another screen in the middle of it. So sometimes it works.
So yeah, tell us a bit about the thought process behind the general design.
So first of all, I'll just tell you about my general philosophy, which is pretty strange maybe, but I love to design boss battles, even though they're sometimes not even like relevant to the game or use the mechanics that I taught the player. But I love creating bosses, and we started off from that, and we're like, let's make something that's probably endless because it's a school game, and it's always nice to just have something endless because otherwise you get like a game jam version of a game, really short and stuff.
Yeah.
We're like, let's make it a bit longer. And then we sort of had Geometry Dash, I think, as a sort of inspiration.
Oh yeah.
And so we were like, oh, let's use those sort of graphics because those are easy and you can make them look nice really easy, really quick, just having outlines basically. And that cut down most of the time we spent on art and stuff, and the rest is just done in processing itself, like the star field and even here the background and the edges and even that the bullets and stuff and particles are made in there. So that saved us a lot of time. Yeah, let's see. The boss battles every 5 levels, you get one. There are like 6 of them, I think. And we wanted them to scale in difficulty as well, because otherwise, just adding more damage to the bullets is, yeah, I think not a good way to design a boss. So yeah, we gave them more difficult abilities and stuff. Like this one leaves areas which damage you if you go through them, and tons of small bullets which don't do any damage at all, but it's annoying. So yeah, as you progress, the game had to become harder as well, more difficult. So we added multiple enemy types, and there are probably like 7 or 8 enemy types, and they all have certain traits, certain abilities that hinder the player in some way. For example, later on you will experience or find out that there are also healers, and those are horrible because they keep healing tanky other thingies.
Oh,
Load.
I think I
Oh,
died.
are you using X to shoot or Z?
I'm using X. I don't know what the difference is.
Oh, yeah, we didn't explain that in the game, but Z makes you turn faster when you shoot, so you can turn faster while shooting.
Okay.
And we used X to give you some precision when aiming, for example.
That's actually very interesting. I was going to ask about the choice to do the slowdown when you shoot, but I guess it's actually part of the mechanic. That's interesting. What led you to that?
Well, I played some bullet hell shooters, well, lots of them actually, and they usually have some slowdown function for you to focus your fire a bit better. And we had to use two main controls besides from the movement control, so we were like, yeah, sure, why not add that?
Cool stuff.
So yeah.
There's a laser now.
Oh yeah, that's another boss. And we also put the bosses in a sort of randomized order, but they also are in a list, and they get removed from that when they spawn, so you don't get the same boss twice in a row. You always experience all of the bosses in an order.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, it's just we tried it randomized, and then we got like the same boss 4 times, and it was horrible.
Oh yeah. So what kind of things did you do to like get the values all set up, like the health for the player and the boss and the bullet damage and all that?
I don't know. We just started at 100 for the player's health, and I don't know. We basically balanced it from there on out. We had like a basic value, and then we said like, oh, okay, the weakest enemy does 5 damage then, and I think what's it called? One of the stronger enemies, for example, deals 25 damage, but only if he's in range, and it can take a while, so it's not as punishing as it is when a like range enemy hits you, for example. I don't know, we just based off the 100 HP of the player, and he slowly regenerates as well. And we tested it with a lot of people, and
that's an important thing. It's a very important thing.
Yeah, we tested loads, and that actually gave us some of the balancing values as well, like health regen really slowly and those kind of things. So yeah, testing is important for sure. One thing we noted was that we didn't have time to implement the collision for the enemy, so they don't fly into each other, but they do now. And basically what you do is fly around in circles and then collect them all on each other and then shoot. Yeah. That's like the easiest tactic, I think.
Yeah, it is a little bit annoying that they fly straight up into you. I think it probably needs some more like flocking patterns and things.
Yeah, but we had AI. no what's it called? Previous experience with programming in general, so it was our first game for school.
How dare you not get it perfect the first time?
Oh, and this is also completely randomly generated. Your score doesn't matter; it doesn't get saved. We just had to have a high score thingy. So that's something.
So you just faked it, huh?
Yeah, we did, and we used names from classmates and stuff. Probably shouldn't have done that, but whatever.
Well, at least it's there. I mean, it fooled me, so.
I mean, it's real, of course. No, we had no experience with database and stuff either, and we had no time to do that back then. So yeah.
Well, I think it's good that it focuses on the strengths and all of that is polished. It's like you said, you did a lot of testing, a lot of iterating.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super important.
Yeah, and we also most of the games were going to be platformers because we also heard the other groups talk about the games, and they were going for platformers or for small endless runners, for example. And we were like, no, we can do. We can go bigger. We can go big. And we went so big that 4 of our teammates are actually left school. So
They didn't just leave the project; they left the school. Wow.
yeah, they failed school, so we actually did it together.
Well then.
Yeah. So that's why we ended up doing it with 2 people actually instead of 6. So that was fun.
So how was it working with one? Did you spend any time working with the whole 6, or was it mostly with the one other person?
Yeah, we had to at the start. We had to work with 6 people. We had to include everybody, and I had some prior programming experience in C++ and Java and C# a little bit. And it was quite difficult because they didn't do any of their homework. They weren't open for suggestions or to practice at home because they were behind in programming experience. Not in my opinion, but in the opinion of school, because they missed lessons, they didn't do their homework and stuff. So it was really difficult to get them to work on the project because they were like, oh, this is way too difficult, so I'll postpone it. And then they did nothing again, and it was a vicious cycle. So yeah. So we ended up doing it with 2 people.
And how was that collaboration?
Yeah, cool. I still talk with that teammate regularly. Well, every day, to be honest. He's still in my class, and we're doing an Unreal project now together.
Awesome.
So that's cool. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Because this turned out pretty solid. Other than the flocking issue, but wouldn't expect that from an early game. I mean, flocking, even for a later game, flocking is pretty stupid. How complicated it is.
Yeah, it's so easy but difficult at the same time.
Right.
Especially to make it sort of balanced and fun as well.
Oh yes. It's another thing that you probably want to largely fake, just like your beautiful leaderboard.
Well, faking, as long as it gets a point across.
Is there anything else you want to share about the project? I think I've.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I created the music in I think it was the guitar tab program. So the sound is not too bad, I think, but I mean, it could be better, of course. But it does show that it's possible to do something with that.
Yeah.
Even though and the art was made in Adobe After Effects. I mean, the bosses and stuff and enemies. So that's I think that's it. And a lot of spaghetti code.
A lot of spaghetti code, as gems always are.
No, but that's it about this game, I think. And I'm just happy we actually got to win a prize with this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super awesome. It is infinite, right?
Yeah, the fun thing is, like, the first 30 waves are handmade, and then after that it just generates the waves.
So it's called Finite Universe, but it's infinite.
Yeah, the universe isn't, because you're limited by the boundaries, but the game itself is infinite.
The game is infinite, just the arena is finite. That's fair.
Yeah. So, wordplay.
Okay, so next up, what is the next one chronologically?
Let's see. I think it's the Trial of Ascension, I think.
Alrighty.
That was a hell of experience to make. In a good way, though.
In a good way. Alright.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got here.
I'll just be quiet for a moment.
Trial of Ascension, a 2D top-down turn-based roguelike dungeon crawler. That's a mouthful. Play as a knight who tries to reach the famous lowest floor in the Dungeon of Ascension. A guardian of the gods sleeps there, waiting for a worthy opponent. That's the wrong there. Are you worthy to ascend?
My bad. Again.
Ascend. Wait, we're trying to get to the lowest floor?
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Well,
that be?
it's ascending in a like divine type of
Oh,
thingy. Yeah,
okay. That's confusing.
I know.
All right.
It's actually the first time I think about it that way. So nice,
Uh,
interesting.
we're gonna descend in order to ascend. It's fine.
Yes.
Uh, many controls. I'm probably not gonna remember these.
Yeah, it's a load of it's so many controls, but yeah, sorry for that in advance.
I
I've got a
did see that
tutorial
it
in game.
had. Yeah, I saw the tutorial was in there, so that's something. So yeah, now it's my turn to shut up. Tell us a bit about the game.
Okay, so this was made for a course at school, and you could choose. You could actually we have a rating system from 1 to 10, and a rating system from 1 to 10, and let's see. You could get a 15 for this. So basically, it's like an A plus 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 and
Wow.
stuff like that. But they did it on purpose.
150% mark. That sounds good.
Yeah, basically, and they had a list of criteria you could score on, and it was you could just leave some of the criteria behind because you can't really make a game with all of the criteria in there. It would have been like a horrible game. It was way too much, especially for the time frame because this was made in 5 weeks, I think. And I tried to score on as many points as I could, and yeah, that's the result of this game. it's it's a lovely mess, in my opinion.
So you weren't supposed to use all of the criteria, but you tried.
Yes.
Well, that's admirable, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
The
see.
greater goal was nice, so I was happy with that.
We can move. I'm some kind of knight. I didn't really pay attention to the credits. I probably should have paid attention to the credits. I saw them. So you did the art, programming, and design,
Yes.
and then Kevin McLeod. Oh boy.
Oh, there we go. The rivalry.
Fonts and sound effects from BFXR. BFXR, that's like a generator, right? That's not free stuff.
Yeah, I know. Oh well. Oof. Well, actually, another thing that I would probably want to say about this is this is the first time I tried procedural generation. The tutorials aren't generated, but the levels are, so that was fun to try. And yeah, it had so many mechanics. I should have cut down on those, but I wrote a whole design document of like 60 pages about this game. I had to for the course as well, and apply some game theory behind it. And yeah, that was quite difficult, especially with the controls, because those are probably the worst thing about the game, as I can see.
I can't open the chest. I have to turn
yeah,
around.
Yeah, you have to rotate.
There we go.
Yeah.
The roguelikes
Yeah.
are not small scope games for sure.
No, it's it was difficult. I had so many bugs and errors as well in the final week of creating the game. And then I decided like, oh, let's add a boss battle. Why not?
Gotta have a boss battle. It's like your trademark.
Yeah, it's sort of yeah. Even in Class Day, they're saying that now. So, guess I got to deliver now. So yeah, you got items and stuff. You got weapons. You got different types of weapons. You can even get legendary items and stuff.
Finish the
Upgrade
trial
your
and
health.
defeat the Guardian at floor 14. That's a lot of floors.
Yeah, there's still debug controls in the game. I think I left those in. I usually leave those in for people to experience the whole game if they can't complete it for some reason, because for some reason my games are always really difficult. No, it's just a design issue because I usually don't have enough time to test with enough people. And most of the people I test with at school are also game developers, so they are usually more versed with the games and controls.
Yeah.
Which is not always good.
I found a blood shiv.
Yeah, they
So
all
how-
have different
how-
attack ranges.
How long did you have to make this game?
I think we had like 6 weeks or 7 weeks, but of course, as a good student, I postponed my assignment, and I think I had like 3 weeks for it, or 2 weeks. But yeah, not every day still. it was a fun project, and especially I wrote my own A-star algorithm here for the enemies and for the room generation. It was pretty fun as well to do it. So I learned a lot by doing this. And the art was fun to make.
And what did you use to make the art?
I used this was in the day when I still used Pixel.
Oh, whoops! Yeah. I hit escape.
Oh, oops. Yeah, I'll just tell you the cheat. I think might be nice, so you can skip back. I think it was like, oh god, I have to look. Just give me one moment.
ID CLev? That doesn't work.
It's on the page.
I apparently hit something. It's L.
Oh, it's L. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's also one thing that people say about my games. I have really strange debugging keys. They are always different in every game. And that's not a good thing to do.
I don't have any weapons now, though.
Oh.
Kind of a problem.
Well then. That's... yeah.
We can see the whole game, but we can't attack anything.
So yeah, you got different biomes. And those have tiles which have different effects. For example, these tiles give you put your what's it called? Your weapons on cooldown, so you can't attack. So if you walk on multiples, you basically don't have any. You can't attack at all. And here you can see it from your face. Yeah.
Okay, so I can't advance past that level.
Yeah, you can damage him by pressing K, I think.
Oh, the music isn't going away.
Oh. Yeah, it's that's what I mean. It's such a. I didn't even test it.
Very loud music.
I did not know about the Unity 0.3 music volume thingy yet. So, yeah, that's something.
We'll have to turn it down if we manage to get to the boss. There was another thing I don't remember what I was just going to ask you. So, what games influenced you for this one?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't think I got influenced directly for any game by any games. I just wanted to make something like this, sort of a turn-based game, and I love medieval themes, so I was like, yeah, why not? I'll just do that. And then everything actually came together. I just followed the criteria and actually. Yeah, made this. Oh, by the way, you can press Z to see the enemy hit ranges.
Oh.
So, just...
yes, that's a useful thing. That's probably something that should kind of always be there. Like an Advance Wars kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that might be one of the things that influenced me somehow, because I've played those loads.
I love that game.
Yeah, same. It's awesome.
And the music you picked out from Kevin MacLeod. How did you stumble upon Kevin MacLeod? That's a good question.
I already knew him because I did lots of animating, and I had a whole YouTube channel for my animations, which, by the way, is not online anymore because of the YouTube reformation when it got into the hands of Google, I think. Then I lost my account, so that's a while ago. For some reason, I remembered him, and I just typed that in and found music.
Cool stuff.
And yeah.
Oh. We got poison tiles.
Yeah, those are not fun at all. And the game gets pretty difficult. Yeah, so basically what happens in the game is that you cross over some biomes. They don't have different generation, unfortunately. I wanted to do that, but yeah, time ran short, and generation in itself is already really finicky. Because there are still times that enemies spawn on islands where you can't reach if you don't have the correct weapons. So yeah. Oh, it might be nice to tell what kind of algorithm I used to generate this.
Oh yes.
And
that was what I was going to ask you about. Was the algorithms.
So I used Conway's Game of Life to generate this with some of my own rules. I basically tweaked the parameters and then ran some algorithms over it, like pathfinding algorithms, to see if the exit is reachable and all of the chests and enemies. So I sent out A-Star, an A-Star agent, to check if everything is reachable. That's basically it, I think. Oh yeah, and maybe something that a tip: you can keep walking, and enemies sometimes have a 10% chance to stay still, so you can outrun them if you want, if you have enough space.
That's an interesting mechanic. What?
Yeah, because the
What brought you to that mechanic?
I saw that a lot of players got boxed in, or like you have right now, are facing an enemy which hits pretty hard, and yeah, you sometimes just can't trade out the HP against an enemy. So I made them a bit slower than the player. Yeah, and I was like, how can I slow them down? Because you walk in tiles. So I was like, oh, let's just wait for a tile.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, you can drop your weapons by right-clicking them, as if you want to pick up a new one. I think you already did that once.
Yeah, I did that to get this big little sword I got here. Big little sword. Big little sword. That's a thing. I found Aegis of Trials. There's a shield?
Yeah. You can. It was supposed to have a. Oh yeah, it has an effect still, I think.
Oh, I died.
If you hit an enemy with
the
it.
shield. Sad.
Oh, that's sad. Well, if you hit an enemy with it, you get a shield for 3 turns, so enemies can't hit you during that time. But it has a really minimal range, so yeah.
And you
It's pretty cool against the boss.
You have us restarting on the same floor.
Yeah.
Why are you more forgiving than most roguelikes?
Yeah, probably because it's not really a roguelike. So, I say that it's a roguelike, but it probably isn't, just has elements of it.
Yeah.
As most roguelikes do, I think. But, I don't know, I saw that people got bored pretty quick if I let them restart, and I had no way of getting them, making them stronger without unbalancing the game as I had it back then. And I only had a couple of days left, so I was like, yeah, I have to do something to keep it sort of playable for people.
Sort of playable. But not
It's
totally
still
playable.
difficult.
Ooh.
You can also wait a turn by rotating. Yeah, you can also just wait a turn by rotating, so you can influence the enemy's movement. So there's quite some strategy going on as well, but it's just too difficult in terms of controls and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm also very bad at these kind of games, so that's cool stuff. Trial of Ascension. Yeah. So
And the boss had 3 phases, which was a hell to make, but yeah, it's lovely just to make those games. I love it.
Okay, so we'll go on to Intergalactic Misfortune then.
Yeah, oh yeah, you played that one, I think. Oh,
I have indeed played this.
That's a horribly optimized game. Because a lot of people who played the game, I'll just start off right in the middle, but a lot of people who played the game couldn't finish stage 10 because it lagged their computer. Because I accidentally added rigid bodies to all of the ships, and sometimes there were like 2,000 ships on the screen.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That was not good.
So tell us about the game. What was the influence? What was the scenario? All that.
Yeah, so I made this for the Ludum Dare, and is it Ludum Dare or Ludum Dairy? I don't know, well, whatever.
That
I
is
made
a controversial question.
Oh, like GIF and GIF.
Either way is fine.
So anyway, I made this for Ludum Dare, and the theme was the more you have it, the worse it is. I think something like that. And I was like, I want to try something with another strategy game. I saw a game like this somewhere, and I was like, oh, I want to try that. And I was like, I liked debuffs because I played World of Warcraft loads, and they really have visual debuffs and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do something with that. I'd like that. So it was like every time you own a planet or you capture a planet, you get a debuff, which, yeah, of course, has a negative effect for you. And it played well with the team, I think. And it infuriates the player loads. So, oh god, it's so balanced.
I don't remember this one being this hard. I think it's because of this thing.
Yeah, it's because of the debuff. And there's like no other planet, so it only spawns between you and him.
So those are
Oh,
random?
yeah, you always get random ones. So if you restart the level, for example, you get a different debuff, hopefully a better one.
Yeah, we're gonna restart this because
Oh,
that's
I don't
very
have a
unfortunate.
menu. I forgot to put in a pause menu and stuff, but yeah, I think I came a long way since those days. I usually focus on that functionality first now, even though it takes time.
What is this one? Engine failure. Owned ships slow down by 5% for each owned planet up to 50%. Interesting.
Yeah, it's just mild annoyances, especially in later stages where you're equal with the AI opponent. It's gonna be a really horrible experience. But yeah, I think it was difficult to find something that worked for this team because I didn't want to go with the regular route. I usually don't try to do that with some of the game jams I participated in because it's always fun to find a new way of expressing the team in a way that is not too obvious, and it also challenges my design capabilities, which is also a good thing, I think. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not add debuffs? It's something I can tweak easily. I can add lots of them really quickly as well if I set up the base system decently in a decent fashion. And I can make levels really quick with this type of gameplay as well, so which is good for a game jam, and that's probably what made me consider this idea the most.
So it's kind of a like design sandbox for you.
Yeah, yeah, and it was also something new to work with lots of things on screen at the same time because as I said, it's not optimized at all, but I continued on this game for quite a while after the game jam, and I tried to improve the way the game handles those small ships, and that was just before Unity released the entity system and the job system, so I had a hard time doing that. I tried quad trees, for example. Yeah, jargon stuff coming through now, but I tried using quad trees to optimize the collisions. I tried to, of course, remove the rigid bodies. That's one thing. I tried to pre-calculate distance to each planet, for example, and then just count down with a timer instead of using collision detection. All those kind of things. I tried to make them as particles as well. All the ships as a particle, and all those kind of things. Those were all lovely things to try, and I settled for letting the planets shoot lasers instead of having ships, because I had some scenarios where planets had like 800 ships, which was not going to work. So yeah, it was a tough thing to make. And I did get a lot of feedback on this game, and I really appreciated that. Also from you, by the way. So it's,
Of course.
I don't know, it was one of my first experiences where I really threw out the game into the public, and it got received reasonably well for the jank that it had. But yeah,
This was for compo.
yeah, this was for compo.
So 48 hours all by yourself.
Yes,
Not an easy thing to do.
and I think I had my birthday on the first day as well, so I lost the first day mostly.
Was this your first Ludendari?
No, this was my second, I think. Yeah,
And
this was my second.
so what introduced you to Ludendari in the first place?
What's it called? My school actually holds the Global Game Jam, hosts a Global Game Jam, and that made me wonder: are there more things like that, basically? And then I searched and I saw Ludum Dare, and it was a couple of days away, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not join? It's always good to do that, something like that.
I'm definitely
yeah.
going to lose this.
And yeah, that's how I got into this. This game was actually made with only half a year of Unity experience, I think. I just used Unity for half a year, or less. So it was really a really big challenge for me back then.
And this camera movement with the mouse, what got you to do that?
Yeah, it's funny. I just incorporate all kind of random things I saw somewhere in the somewhere. I saw it somewhere. I was like, oh, why can I use this? I had the problem of a restricted level size because I don't know why, I just set that up for myself, I think. But then I tried to solve that in a different way, and I was like, yeah, I can probably show the player enough of the stage and have it as a pretty cool effect, I think, by moving the camera with your mouse a little bit. It just felt fancy in my opinion.
It's a bit fancy. It makes it less static for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the main reason, especially in the main menu. I still remember you saying that that it was kind of strange that I put more time into that instead of the, for example, pause menu. But yeah, not everything goes as planned during a jam. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, just as a little bit of closing to these games that you've made, is there anything you could give advice-wise for people getting into game jams, finding themselves working either alone or in really small teams?
Yeah, that's a good one. I usually work alone, or with my girlfriend because she is a graphical artist, and that works really well. But try to find people you work with. Try to somehow test them beforehand or see how they are or how they work, because things can clash really hard if you work with people that you don't know and they have completely different skill sets, different experiences and stuff like that. It can really clash easily, and that could really ruin your experience of game jams as well in general. So I'd personally say just build up your skills and maybe your design skills as well by just doing something solo. It doesn't have to be great graphically or anything like that. Just overscope your project at first, and then narrow it down when you start creating it, because you always can narrow something down quite easily. If you just make a system quite, I wouldn't say generic, because that's always really difficult, but especially for a game jam.
Yes.
I usually don't have any systems in place because I create everything from scratch during game jams. I like to challenge myself that way, and I think that also helps me to improve upon that really quickly. For example, if I want to make a fate manager like that controls scenes and fades scenes out and in with events and stuff, I can do that in like 5 to 10 minutes now, which is so nice to have that skill ingrained in your memory. Of course, now I use a package for that, but just try to make all of those annoying things maybe by hand a lot of times, and I think that will help you so much along the way. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Oh yeah, and when you're working alone, don't be afraid to start with the art. I usually start with art for some reason. It gives me motivation to continue working on it because it looks nice, in my opinion. So yeah, that helps me going.
I died.
Yeah, the game's quite difficult.
Game is very, very difficult, but
surprise.
I mean, like, your explanation of using it as a sandbox for all sorts of different design and technical things that you learned a lot from it. I think that's the ideal situation for a jam.
Yeah,
that's super cool. We're gonna close out this interview here with open questions. If there's anybody in the chat who has any specific questions for Twin here, be glad to field some questions about things. Anything about game development and anything about game design. And while we're doing that, where can we find out more about you and your games and all those things? I know we have this website. I can link this.
Oh yeah, it's my website, which is not finished at all, but it was an attempt to create something in JavaScript and PHP. But yeah, probably my, I think my itch site. It's probably, I'm gonna update it real quick, so that's probably the best source for my games and game dev related stuff. And for art stuff, I use Instagram a lot. And for I don't know, messages and stuff, I use Twitter now, I think. So yeah, Twitter, Instagram, my own website, and itch.
I think I can get your Twitter. If you want to share your Instagram.
Yeah, sure. Let me get the link real quick. Oops, an error occurred. Oh, okay, Instagram.
Break Instagram?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's down.
Well, that's not good.
That's new. Anyway. There we go. I got the link anyway. Want me to just put it in chat then? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. There's my Instagram. I did some art challenges on there. I don't have the account for too long, I think, but it's fun. I usually I started with that by joining my girlfriend with some kind of art challenge, so that's quite fun to challenge yourself. Anyway, yeah.
Let's see if there are any questions while we were talking. You sound Dutch.
I sound Dutch. Yeah, I'm Dutch. So, yeah, for some reason, Dutch people always, or like mostly European people, always know that someone is Dutch for some reason. I also hear it really quick when someone speaks English. So yeah, I'm Dutch.
I mean, we learned something really important today. Dutch people sound Dutch. It's good to know. All right, we've got a question. Question from Lilu Cormick. What do you find the hardest while developing a game?
The hardest. Well, in terms of like general difficulty, skill based, I think it's audio for sure. But like when generally developing a game, I think it's to not go too far into the making a whole game generic. Creating it so I can make it feasible for every possible idea I can think of. I usually do that. I make everything as generic as possible, so it can be used in every situation. But that takes so much time and effort, and sometimes it's not worth it. Well, like most of the time, just get something to work first, and then build upon that. That's like feedback to myself, basically.
It's always good to reflect on those things.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things while developing a game, in my opinion. Keep it functional, but not too functional.
Fair enough. Oh, website. Yes.
Thanks for asking, Lilu.
Don't know how that happened.
Do you have a question for me, Joshua?
I have so many questions, but I think I've asked all of them.
Okay.
So,
fair enough.
Bam. There don't seem to be any other questions from chat. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave everybody with?
Well, testing is important, I think. No, I don't know. Don't be afraid to create what's out of reach.
That's a good one.
What seems out of reach.
Okay.
Oh, we got another question. And
cats or dogs? That's a good one. Cats or dogs?
Cats or dogs? Yeah. I like cats, but I love dogs. So dogs.
Cool beans. Well, thank you for joining us for this chat, TwinGhosts. It's been fun and informative.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. That will conclude this interview for 8 Bits to Infinity. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out for this first vodcast of our